The term Twin Towers was coined in 1986 when the Houston Rockets took 7-footer Hakeem Olajuwon to pair with 7'4" Ralph Sampson, as they both were tall and dominated both ends of the court. This duo was very successful, and they had made the finals in that following season. Other teams followed suit, including the 1997 San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, along with the 2008 Lakers with Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum. Before the pace and space era, these Twin Tower duos were major cheat codes, as the league was focused on scoring in the post and around the rim. Having two 7-footers in the paint that were also offensively skilled made it much easier to dominate the paint on both ends. But that changed in 2015 when the Warriors won the title with Steph Curry, as the league evolved to rely on speed and the three-point shot. Since teams wanted players that could stretch defenses out as much as possible and guard multiple positions, these big man duos were phased out as their skill sets did not fit the needs of this era. Teams embraced the small ball era by gunning for long wings that could guard multiple positions and guards that could stretch the floor. For big men to adapt to this change, they needed to develop guard-like skills such as ball handling or shooting to be the primary scoring option on their teams. As players like Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid utilize these skills to dominate, those respected teams decide to build around them with guards and wings to complement their playstyles. The Timberwolves realized that they also had one of these special players in Karl Anthony Towns, but they believed that they could dominate the small ball era with a unique strategy. Instead of finding more wings and guards, they traded 5 first-round picks for 7-footer Rudy Gobert to pair with Karl Anthony Towns and become the modern Twin Towers. When the Timberwolves brought in Rudy Gobert after the 2022 season, the Wolves' vision was to have Towns play like a 7-foot wing. With Gobert being the presence in the paint, Towns was able to utilize his full skill set on the perimeter. While that may sound like a waste of height, playing against other small ball teams meant Towns would always face smaller players. This meant his advantage was using his height to shoot over them, or his big frame to gain better position around the rim. One of Towns' most unique strengths in handling these mismatches is his ability to use his size and dribble to attack the basket like a wing against the best defenders. Here he attacks Jrue Holiday with his left hand, he pump fakes to get Holiday to jump and hits the floater. On the next possession, Holiday forces Towns left, and he uses his big frame to protect the ball against Holiday. He then dribbles through Holiday and Tatum before shedding Jrue for another floater. In today's game, recognizing what to do with the ball when the team is in defensive rotation is an essential skill to a successful offense. Towns' ability to drive on closeouts offers another element to the Wolves' offense that helps them score efficiently when they create an initial advantage on the offensive sequence. When a player is rotating, they're naturally at a disadvantage because they're trying to recover the cat on the perimeter, as he's a 40% three-point shooter. Since Towns also has a big size advantage over those rotating defenders, he is able to easily power through them as they're thinking about recovering to his shot, along with maintaining a strong body position to stay in front of a potential cat drive. And that is an extremely hard task even for the best defenders. Here, Aaron Gordon is partially sitting in Ant's driving gap, but he's more concerned about Cat's shot. When Edwards throws it to Cat, Towns pump fakes, which gets Gordon just a bit off balance, and Towns uses his left to drive past Gordon and it finishes. But what really makes Cat an offensive unicorn is his ability to complement his driving abilities with his passing. Cat has always been an excellent passer, as he's able to consistently deliver the ball in the pocket for his teammates to finish. A lot of his opportunities to pass are when he's on the move. Since Cat has the ability to finish, teams are naturally going to come help, which leaves a lot of openings for lob passes. Cat is not a creative passer like Jokic is, but he has a great vision and anticipation in understanding how a play can develop. And what makes him a threatening passer is the fact that he can pass from all areas where he can score as well. Here, Towns is in the middle of the floor facing up Josh Hart. As he drives, DiVincenzo comes to stop the drive, but Towns is able to drive through that double team and kicks it out, which creates an open three for Naz Reid. On this one, Cat is on the wing and catches a high pass from McDaniels. He drives past JB and recognizes that Porzingis and Horford are trying to prevent a lob, so he throws it to McDaniels for an open three, but he just misses. He can also find open cutters or Gobert when he's in the post. His ability to recognize who might be cutting and manipulate the defense to create these openings is rare for someone his size. And then you consider the fact that teams have to typically send another defender because a 7-footer can body his matchup and has scoring abilities. Towns' quick decision making in these situations leave defenders wondering how to best throw him off balance. So when you put Cat's driving, shooting, and passing abilities together, it creates a functional partnership with Gobert on the offensive end, and they can play in many different ways. One of the most dangerous ways they work together is on the big pick and roll. Due to Cat's height, he can throw lobs to Gobert much easier than a guard, and these lobs are often available due to Cat's anticipation. Here, Towns gets the ball and Gobert slips the screen. Despite Gobert being behind Mark Williams at this point, Towns sees Williams take one step forward, which gives Gobert enough space to get behind him, and he gets a dunk. Because of Cat's shooting and driving ability, the guy guarding the screener often has to step up to nullify his shot, which often leaves Gobert open. You couple that with the fact that there are three much shorter players trying to help on a big center, and Gobert is going to get a lot of opportunities to score from the pick and roll. Even if that ball is in a tight window, Cat is not afraid to throw it since wings and guards can't bother Gobert when the ball is thrown up high. It's also really difficult for a big to drop on this pick and roll to protect that lob because Cat can come off the screen and knock down jumpers at will. That's why the Timberwolves will even run plays for Towns so that he can use his playmaking ability to set up Gobert. Here the Wolves run a floppy action for Towns and he drives past Green, which creates a 2-on-1, and Gobert gets fouled. These are actions typically run for guards to get a wide open shot. Although Cat is a center, he has shooting gravity that forces teams to pressure him like a guard, which often gives him opportunities to drive in space. Another popular play that the Wolves run for Cat is Horn's Flare, where Cat would set the screen for the guard and Gobert would set a screen on Cat's defender, so Cat has space to pop out, which opens up tons of opportunities. Here Ant runs the set, and the Sixers do a fantastic job switching so no one is open. But Cat and Gobert flow this into a quick pick and roll, and Gobert gets a dunk. They can also convert the Horn set into a dribble handoff. Here the ball gets swung to Towns, who then initiates the dribble handoff with Edwards. With two people coming to Ant, Towns is left with a 2-on-1, and he gets Gobert an easy layup. But maybe the most important component that makes Cat and Gobert work together so well is trust. In Utah, teams would try to hide smaller guards on Gobert at times because Donovan Mitchell would ignore Gobert and instead prefer to isolate his matchup on the perimeter, gifting the opposing team more defensive flexibility. In fairness to Mitchell, Gobert did not have the best post game or free throw shooting if he got fouled, but he also rarely gave Gobert chances to punish these mismatches. Gobert had also experienced a little bit of the same phenomenon in Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, as Ant has preferred to isolate against his matchup or swing the ball to someone else that can make a play. But Cat has trusted Gobert to at least give him the ball if he's close to the basket or if there was a clear mismatch. When Towns delivers the ball to Gobert, Rudy has done a really good job getting the ball up quick or powering through his matchup to score. These opportunities happen often when Cat's in the post, as opposing teams are often in a predicament between helping on the post up and also ensuring that Gobert does not get an easy layup. Since Cat can score from the post, teams often prefer doubling or shading another defender towards him. And because the ball delivered from the post to the paint is much faster than from the top of the key, defenses have less time to react back to Gobert and he often gets a lot of easy shots. Overall, Cat is a fantastic Swiss Army knife that can understand how defenses are playing him and make the right play. When you add a vertical threat in Gobert, it opens up more options for Cat to utilize in those situations. Since Cat is essentially a wing in a center's body, this adds a wrench in what small ball defenses can do since Towns is so big and Gobert can finish a lot of plays that Cat can create. And this length has translated on the defensive end as well that has given small ball teams tons of problems. If you like defense like the Timberwolves do, then I suggest looking into NordVPN to help protect yourself on the internet. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN makes your internet experience better by protecting you from online threats, censorship, and surveillance. By routing your online traffic through their servers, they encrypt your data so it can't be stolen by cyber criminals. And with numerous servers and unlimited bandwidth, you're able to access content anywhere like you're at home. For me personally, I have been traveling a lot recently, and the best part about NordVPN is that I can access all the basketball content I want all over the world to stay on top of what's going on around the league. If you have any questions or concerns, NordVPN has 24/7 customer support to help you whenever you need it and a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users. So if you're interested, we have a special offer for you. Every purchase of a 2-year plan gets you 4 additional months free. Just go to NordVPN/DanielLee and use the coupon code DanielLee at checkout. That way, you can still enjoy your favorite content wherever you are, including this breakdown on Cat and Gobert's defense. Now on the defensive end, the Twin Towers have done a fantastic job working with each other to create havoc. Last year, the Timberwolves were trying to play two different styles in the pick and roll. With Towns, they wanted to blitz to create more on-ball pressure and use their rotating defenders to nullify any advantages. With Gobert, they would drop on the pick and roll since Gobert is adept to contain both the ball handler and screener. But this ended up backfiring since it was difficult for the rotating defenders to continue adjusting their responsibilities between each coverage. As a result, the Wolves coach Chris Finch changed up the defensive scheme by assigning each big man designated roles. He wanted Cat to chase guys around the perimeter and Gobert to be the primary paint protector. However, he also wanted Gobert to be more dynamic by pressuring guys on the perimeter or playing from different positions, and he has taken the challenge. Rudy Gobert has never been able to showcase his mobility in Utah because he was the only paint defender there. But in Minnesota, he has the flexibility to come out and bother more shots because there's always additional interior support. In fact, he actually doesn't need help most of the time because he's so long, so he covers a ton of ground. One of the most impressive parts of his game is that he's able to switch responsibilities between guarding his own defender and then helping so quickly. This makes it much harder for teams to exploit Gobert because he can anticipate the next play and deter any good shots. Here, Gobert covers Lu Dort's driving gap like a wing defender, so Dort swings it to Josh Giddey. Gobert is able to recover and sticks with his drive before blocking his shot. Here's another one that shows Gobert's complete package. He first deters Shea's drive, and then he closes it out to Chet in the corner. Holmgren tries to drive, and Gobert contests his desperate hook shot. The Thunder do get the offensive rebound, and Chet looks like he has a wide open free throw jumper as Gobert's in the circle. But Gobert's length discourages Chet from taking it, so he tries to pump fake. Gobert stays with them again, and Holmgren decides to pass it. Gobert then helps on the next drive before closing back out to Chet, and he airballs this jumper. The biggest misconception of Gobert's defensive prowess is that he only waits at the rim to deter shots with his long frame, when in fact he can be weaponized on the perimeter, especially against these shooting bigs. In this game specifically, Chet had a lot of problems with Gobert even out on the perimeter because he was worried about getting his shots off quicker with Rudy in the game. What makes Gobert great on defense is that he makes himself bigger by using his long arms to make offensive players question shooting the ball in situations where they normally would. By doing this, he is able to contest players driving to the rim and shooting threes without fully committing one way or another. The only thing standing away from that is if the players around him are traffic cones, which has certainly not been the case in Minnesota, including Karl Anthony Towns. Since Gobert is an elite rim protector, it did not make sense to have Cat have that as his primary responsibility. That's why the Wolves thought Towns would be more valuable if he was flying around the perimeter contesting shots, especially since he is bigger so he can fight through screens easier. This also meant Towns would have to switch on his smaller guards and wings this season, but he has done a great job taking that challenge. Since Cat is 7 feet tall, he could use his height and wingspan to disrupt the respective offensive player's rhythm. Here, Jamal Murray tries to isolate Cat by using his crossover, but Towns is able to stick with him. Murray can't get a shot off against Cat, so he gives it up to reset the possession. Cat funnels Murray to another help defender, which forces him to give it up. Like Gobert, Cat has been really great about making multiple efforts on the same play. This has been especially invaluable since most plays on the perimeter often involve multiple actions, especially when the ball is reversed from one side to the other. One potential concern is if Cat can continue keeping up with these actions, but he has been able to recognize what he needs to do quickly and then react. His one advantage is that he does not need to close out as hard as another guard or wing, since he can affect shots from the perimeter with his long wingspan. Here, Curry runs a dribble handoff with Sarge to stretch Cat out. Cat and McDaniel's length forces Curry to deliver the pass faster, which leads to a bad pass. Once Cat recovers, Sarge tries running a dribble handoff with Payton, which leads to a ball reversal. Chris Paul tries running a dribble handoff, but Cat knows that he can trust Gobert's help, so he recovers back to the three-point line before contesting Sarge's three. Now against teams with star big men, the Timberwolves will often match Cat with that matchup and have Gobert roam in the paint. Early in the season, Minnesota was able to dominate the Denver Nuggets partially because Cat did a pretty good job on Jokic. He gives the Wolves another big body that Jokic has to deal with and could hold his own for the most part. With Gobert behind him, Cat can be more aggressive with his hands to disrupt Jokic's rhythm. Even though Jokic was able to get position on him, it was apparent that Nikola had to work much harder than he would on another wing player. Cat was focused on keeping his hands up and trusting his help to finish the rest. Cat's tendency to keep his hands up bodes well for him when he needs to use his verticality. When Gobert is out on the perimeter or behind the play, Cat will need to play that helper's role, and the fact that he can stay vertical in shots allows him to have some rim protecting ability. This offers the Timberwolves more flexibility to allow Gobert to roam around the perimeter if he's matched up with a shooting big or is in the middle of the action. And that's what makes Minnesota's defensive system so powerful. Each big man's role is dynamic depending on the situation, which means Cat and Gobert have to recognize who should be on the perimeter and the helper in those spots. Now this sounds awkward in theory, but Cat and Gobert have developed great instincts to figure out when to play each role. Here, Gobert first helps on the Wiggins cut before chasing Curry on the dribble handoff. He does a good job not getting out too far to deter a drive. Curry throws it to Green, so now Cat is the helper. Green can't get by Gobert, so he throws it to Looney, which makes Gobert the helper now. Cat stays in front of his matchup, and Gobert gets the block. On this one, Gobert is helping on the post-up, and Tatum kicks it out to Porzingis. Since he could shoot, Gobert has to respect the shot, so it comes out a bit further. Porzingis tries the pump fake to no avail, and Towns as a helper does a good job of staying home so that Porzingis has to throw up a wild shot. In a typical game this era, teams defend with one big man, which is easier to attack because there are numerous ways to stretch that big man out. But with two 7-footers that are mobile, this means there will typically be one 7-footer contesting shots on the perimeter and another one waiting inside in case the offense gets through the first line of defense. The Nuggets tried multiple times to get Cat off Nikola Jokic for a better matchup, but it did not matter since Gobert was always waiting there. This meant Jokic had to figure out how to get up shots without Gobert in his way or find the open man for 3. Denver does not have great big man shooters, which gives Gobert more leeway to clog the paint. That's why Denver believed that Minnesota was their toughest opponent in the playoffs. The Wolves have embraced playing two big man lineups, which means there will always be additional length on the perimeter and in the paint. And that's what makes a modern twin tower scary. Learning to play against two 7-footers who can move is unprecedented given the current state of the NBA today, and it's one of the main reasons why Minnesota has the best defense to start the season. Barring a major injury, the system should continue to work because both big men have traits that general managers and coaches want in their guards and wings. This phenomenon of big men developing guard and wing-like skills is a reason why the big man has continued to grow over the last few seasons, as evidenced by the dominance of Nikola Jokic along with the rising stars in Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. The Timberwolves realized that Towns fit this mold and thought it would make sense to pair a 7-foot wing with the best defensive center in the league. Since the NBA is a results-driven league, we will have to see how Minnesota finishes these next few seasons to see if the league will start embracing two big men lineups again. What I do know is that big men are continuing to develop more versatile skills to not only be playable, but to dominate the league again, which means it may not be long until the big man starts taking over the league again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.